My husband was a serial cheater and had a corn addiction. I chose to stay while he did the work in recovery, and I chose to heal so that we could save our marriage. 3 years later, my husband is sober and our life has never been better. Our marriage has never been better. But this person left a comment, Kristen. So now I'm not sure how to go about this, and I'm so scared for being lied to and betrayed again while waiting for marriage. Obviously, I will pray and have faith in God to guard my heart. So this honestly has been the one thing on my mind and my heart that I knew was coming. I knew this question was coming, and I really don't know how to answer it. The fact is that I waited till marriage, and I, from the age very early preteen, made a commitment that that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to save myself for my husband because I thought it would mean something to him when I met him. And so I resisted a lot of temptation by doing that. And so my husband has been the only man I've ever been with. And somehow I still ended up in this situation where nightmare situation, you've built a life together, you have 3 kids, a home, you've literally spent your entire life pretty much. Even before I met him, I was preparing for having a marriage, having a family. That's all I ever wanted. And so to see that one person's actions could destroy all of that in a day, even though he was making day by day decision, months, years worth of these decisions, I had no clue that the foundation that I was building was crumbling from underneath me. And so when it completely caved in, shock would be an understatement. And a big part of that journey was me being angry at God, angry that God didn't show me sooner, angry that God would put me down this road, angry at God that I had saved myself to marriage and I still ended up with this scenario. And at the time, I just could not understand how God could do that to me. I felt so unprotected and so betrayed by God. And so through the last years, I've really had to not only work on myself in my healing journey, going back and healing root trauma, not only just forgiving my husband, but also redeveloping a new relationship with God. I still do not regret the decision to wait till marriage because going back through therapy, that was an integrity decision on my part. And if I had daughters that wanted to make this decision, I probably would advise them to not do it for a man, but to do it for themselves, to protect themselves, to guard their body, to treat their body like a temple, to not just give their body away to men who pressure them or, make them feel like it's something they absolutely have to give away, that is something that's sacred to you as a woman, and so you're not going to just give that away. So it's more about protecting and having boundaries than it is about essentially saving yourself and hoping that you're going to have this wonderful, glorious marriage that no one else has. Because in history, if we look at historical events, if we look at people's past stories, it just doesn't line up. It's not true. So that I would advise that to you. Like, make sure that the reasons that you're making that decision are part for your integrity and something that you genuinely want to do as a person. So the other thing I would advise is to go to therapy. I would recommend everyone go to therapy if I could. Therapy has a bad connotation to it, like you must be broken and something must be wrong for you to actually do that. It's not. It's a great way for you to develop emotional intelligence, for you to learn communication skills, for you to set up boundaries that make you feel safe, and so that you do see the red flags of also being lied to. I can see a liar coming from a mile away now. I can see a narcissist when they're in the room because I've learned to identify patterns of behavior. And it's really scary in some ways that we can read people like that, but I can see avoidant behavior. I can see anxious behavior. So it's very amazing in a way to have that knowledge, to be in a room full of people and to be able to identify and recognize those things. And so then it prepares me for how I'm going to respond to that person and protect myself. So I always recommend everyone go to therapy. The other reason why I recommend people go to therapy is because we're not perfect as human beings, right? We have a lot of imperfections. And while spiritual enlightenment and pouring into ourselves spiritually is so important, and it's a part of our identity, it's a core part of our identity, we still lack a lot of intelligence for healing ourselves. There's the person that we think we are, the person that others think we are, and the person that we really are, right? And the person that we really are, we sometimes don't get to know until we're in our 30s, sometimes 40s or 50s, because we've gone through a lot in life. We've been tested, we've gone through sufferings. No one is going to miss that, unfortunately. We all are going to go through trials and tribulations because that's just the world that we live in. But these trials and tribulations really help mold and make us into the people that we are, and how we respond to those trials and tribulations really is what sets our core identity. So I highly recommend therapy because you can navigate those trials so much better. I was not given those tools and resources when I first got married at all. I didn't know how to communicate with my partner. I didn't know how to communicate my feelings. I had been silenced and shut down for so many years. We had anxious attachment styles, avoidant attachment styles. There were things that we saw in our own homes growing up that we thought was normal. And to us, it was normal, but it's not a normal way to behave in a marriage. We had to learn different parenting techniques in therapy because of the aggression that we had both grown up in. There's aggression parenting styles. And so we had to reframe our entire parenting style to be more of a firm parenting style, but with also gentleness involved. I think it's great that you're praying that God would protect your heart. I highly recommend that to anyone. I still pray that God, please protect my heart. Please give me discernment. Make me hyper vigilant. Make me aware of what people's intents and their hearts are. I do pray that you meet a great guy someday who really loves you and cherishes you and is faithful. Go to therapy. Do marriage counseling. Make sure that he knows how to communicate his feelings honestly to you, and don't put him on a white horse. Don't put your partner on a pedestal where you think that they're perfect and that you constantly are telling them that they're perfect. That doesn't do well for men. Men are imperfect. He is going to fail you. One way or another, he is going to fail you. And when he does, emotionally, physically, spiritually, mentally hurt you, how are you going to respond to that? Are you going to say nothing and become passive about it? Or are you going to become aggressive about it? How are you going to respond to that situation? The more that you go to therapy and become a secure personality type, the more the fear is going to go away, and you're going to know how to navigate these situations. So that would be my recommendation to you. Waiting for marriage is not the recipe for success. It is part of it. It can be part of it, but it's not the recipe for success. My mom was very promiscuous and had a sex addiction. She married a man that's been faithful to her entire marriage, and she loves my dad. So 2 different stories: a promiscuous woman who married a faithful man, a woman who waited till marriage and didn't have a faithful man. It's crazy. And I don't want you to lose hope in that. I don't want to say that so it's like, well, what's the point? The point is that you're not doing it for a man. You're doing it for yourself, and you're investing in yourself, and you're learning who you are, and you're learning tools and resources that will get you through marriage, because marriage is for better or for worse.